You were writing the show when the real world has a tremendous amount of sort of absurdity to it. And I'm curious, does it make it harder to do a sort of heightened version for comedic purposes? Like, do you live in fear that people are sitting there saying, not as crazy as the real thing?
I'm assuming everyone's going to turn into our season waiting to see our take on Trump, and we don't have one. There is no Trump character. We wrote this a year ago, and we're not a real-world political show. We are inspired by, and I think even with Trump, there are pieces of pomposity and absurdity that we've taken, but we're not doing a real-life documentary.
Does it make the job harder?
I do think it makes it harder. I think I was saying to you at some point, back in my SNL days, it got harder and harder to do parody commercials because commercials start getting funnier and funnier. When they were more serious, you could make fun of them. When they're kind of fun and musical or whatever, what's the parody? And there are those elements.
The Nevada State Supreme Court issued a temporary stay of certification. The count will continue.
My prayer works!
Maybe.
Wow.
Maybe. You wanted help from above. Here it is. I really.
It's fantastic! What's going on? What's everyone cheering about? Is Mima better? Catherine!
In a perfect world, Selena Meyer should be the worst, most absurd character.
Now she's looking.
Right now she's kind of running second.
I wish she was real.
I think, though, that's the thing that I personally think that's probably the best show on TV. It's my favorite show.
I did not create it. I will repeat that for the world. I think it's a great show, too. That's why I took the job.
I love the show. But I love it because, for me, I'm so not versed in that world that, as absurd as it may be, it feels like I'm getting a little bit of a peek behind, the curtain. And I think that's what's great about your show. 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 I get to think that's what the diversity of television for me. There's a little bit of anger I get from the American white guy because it's not necessarily just about them anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The TV.
The ship is sailing.
It is branching out. To me, that's the greatest.
I'm sure you experience that as well. I know.
I don't know how else to say it. It would honestly make me crazy because thing that I was just going to say, the word that we keep batting around here is authentic. And I think most of the time, whether it was Seinfeld, Curb, and a bunch of Veep, usually it's somebody coming in or myself going, here's something that kind of happened to me once, and I'm going to take this and do that. In our old Seinfeld and Curb days, I kid you not, we didn't even read spec scripts. We just said, give us 20 ideas, give us for each character. You'd go through them, you'd read 30 terrible ideas. You get down to one and go, hey, this one in the stereo store, tell me about this. And that would be the one where the guy goes, oh, that actually happened to me in my life. And you go, well, this is great, these others are garbage, go off and think, mind your own life.
So weird and funny.
And it doesn't matter that Seinfeld had white people in it, or men, or women, or whatever. When you were talking about your show, when you just sort of said, it came from your experience, and originally he was a black TV writer. That's why it works. That's why I love Seinfeld, because you got the authenticity of that. But the problem started becoming everything was that point of view.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Everything
No,
was
I'm
that
just
point of
talking
view.
about when I think shows work. I think shows work when they tap into that, whatever the show is. I despise The Room, and every show I've ever worked on has never had a room.
Oh, that's interesting.
Seinfeld had no room. Even when Larry left, and it took a couple of us to replace him, the individual writers were responsible for their individual stories. I think you can make something funnier that already exists in a room, but I despise the group think. And every year when I do a pilot or two to help out a friend, and I sit there and watch them tear it apart and put it back together in a room, it's awful, and I do think it's why there is a lot of bad network television. I will say.
I don't know that I agree with that. Because
fair enough. Obviously,
I
what works
find
for
that
you
what a
works for
room
you.
can do is keep you honest. Say, this isn't
I think the exact
feeling
opposite.
real.
I think you get the room creates.
You've been in some shitty rooms.
I've been with really good people. The room creates joke-like substances.
That depends on the show.
Yes.
That depends on the show.
We'll talk about, we'll have lunch and talk about like
an area
ideas,
or something.
But hard outlining is meant to be done with one person and their dry erase.
Well, it's
really interesting.
Everybody does it.
Do it.
That's the interesting thing. The interesting thing about showrunning is it's like Nora Ephron said about directing. It's like, it's the one job you have it's like making love. You want to go up to people and be like, is that how everyone else does it? Because you have your own way of doing it.
And we prefer making love with a ton of people. Dave does it by himself.
David Mandel. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe to more videos from The Hollywood Reporter.
We couldn't even, when we started the show, couldn't say nipple.
No.
We couldn't say nipple. We ended up saying nipular. Because they wouldn't let us say nipple.
Like your nipulars are showing? Like that kind of thing?